So I just started the recording, but we didn't hear it in the speaker.
You don't hear it? Okay. Do I need to change the speaker?
Test. Plugged into the relay.
Well, it seems to be.
It's like your plugs are.
I go through this every single time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write some instructions for myself because I'm never sure what to do exactly.
And John saying, "Oh, I'm not hearing anything," but oh, now it's better.
Can one of the Johns say something?
Hello,
You're muted though.
It's working. Good morning.
I can hear you guys now.
Nope, don't hear anything. Let's see.
He's still muted. Anybody?
Well, John Barrett's been
Okay,
muted.
John
So,
Barrett. Okay.
Morning.
Hello.
so we're plugged in. Sorry about that.
Good morning.
Just in case you.
Or
were
am I? Let's
awake.
try it again. One
Let's
second.
try it again.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
One, two. Hello.
Nothing.
You don't want me unmuted.
Try that.
John Sheehan.
Can you hear me?
Nope. Let's see.
Morning, I hear you.
See, I can hear John.
Okay.
Nothing.
I can hear you, John.
That's strange.
My camera's just not
John, we
working.
want to hear you.
Well, now you can. My camera's not working, but at least I
In
can
case
see
there's
you
any
guys
question.
and hear everyone.
Yes, there's always questions, huh? Turn this off, unplug, plug it again, huh? Anybody?
Hello, can you hear us?
Ferris,
Still can't hear you, Maya.
I
Let's
hear you
see.
very well.
Let's do audio settings and then we could test it that way.
I hear you.
Yeah, but we
Yeah, but
can't
we
hear
can't
you
hear
guys.
Anybody when they're speaking. Are you on the? It's a same system.
maybe bring in some grandchildren to set it
Oh,
up.
no, are these Memorial Tech?
Yeah.
Logic. Oh, I thought I just heard something.
Realtek audio.
Test. The speaker.
Testing.
There you go.
Okay, John, can you say something?
Something.
There you go.
Okay, we got,
Okay,
all right, we
hear
got,
something.
we got one of the Johns. Sounds good.
Oh, hit stop.
Yeah, that's pretty obnoxious.
How many people does it take to get the speakers there?
Far too many. Two tech experts here, right?
Exactly.
I'm not including myself in that. Good morning, everybody. How are you today?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So a couple of things I just thought I'd go over with you briefly. So this is from CAR. And it's May 2023, California latest market update. And this is as of May 20th. Let's see. There were 420 closed sales per day, 255 pending sales per day, 205 new listings per day. And this is the entire state of California. So that means closed sales of 23.3%, 22.7% entered escrow, and 18.3% listed a property. So closed sales are up 5.2%, entered escrow up 6%, and listings were flat day to day and week to week. And what do realtors think will happen? Of course, realtors always had the same outlook. Sales will be up. 29.7% of realtors think that sales will be up. 25.5% of realtors think that prices will be up. And listings will be up. And that's based upon 31.8% of realtors responding. So a couple of things. The market had another rough month in April in terms of sales, as the sales pace remained below the 300,000 units for the 7th consecutive month. That is low. The number of homes sold dipped both from the prior month, 4.7%, and from the same month of last year, 36.1% reduction. While supply remained tight and mortgage rates stayed elevated. Closed sales, however, should see a bounce back in May As more transactions open escrow in April, meanwhile, market competition continues to heat up and applies upward pressure on home prices. The statewide median price climbed back above $800,000 for the first time in 6 months and is expected to increase further in May and June as the market enters its typical summer home buying season. So every buyer out there thinks that prices are going down. There's no evidence whatsoever that suggests that. And so we're talking about that because when you're speaking to your buyers, let them know. They're going to buy. Holding out is probably not going to be beneficial. I can assure you the cost of labor is not going down. The cost of raw materials is not going down. So any new product that's being developed currently is going to be more and more expensive. So there is no hope. And of course, people are concerned about interest rates, the debt ceiling, so on and so forth. I think at some point in time, rates will go down, maybe in the next year. So if you can afford to buy a home, if you're looking to do it, now's the time. That's what realtors always say, but it certainly seems the anecdotal evidence is telling us the same thing over and over. We had that little bit of price reduction at the end of last year and beginning of this year, but that's evaporated. So the market's very competitive. Many people aren't listing their homes. It's going to continue along this path, I think.
So what is your strategy for listing a home?
Where's my trying to get the listing first?
Well, how do you talk to the seller to try to convince
How
them?
do we get them to call us first, right? I think there are a lot of sellers out there that are just hesitant to move simply because they don't know where they're going to go. Now, how do we overcome that obstacle? That's a good question, but everybody has specific needs. And how do we cater to that? That's a very good question. I wish I had the exact answer for everybody. And unfortunately, I don't. There is no simple answer to that. What about you, Tony? You see realtors all day long.
Well, I mean, you guys have to do something. It's better than nothing. So I think knowing your market, knowing where people are moving, like, are your clients that you're marketing in that neighborhood needing to downsize? Are they getting older? Obviously, we know that in our business, currently the average age of a real estate agent is 57. So, you know, they're predicting this mass, retirement age of the boomers that are now coming up from retirement. So are they wanting to stay in their home? Are they needing to go to assisted living? How can you interject yourself? Or, hey, kids, get out of the house, either create a job, find a job, do something to be able to get into this market. So,
well, those are all good points. And remember, you can actually, you can farm based upon information that we can help you obtain based for individuals that have occupied property for an extended period of time. We probably can get information in terms of ages. So that's something also helpful. If you're not familiar with Prop 19, you should familiarize yourself with that. We can always go over that in another meeting also. So someone can actually carry forward their tax basis at this point in time. And remember, there are those in California that are always trying to undo Prop 19. So you can't carry forward your tax basis. So fear, I think, sometimes causes people to act. And if they're going to move and they want to carry forward their tax basis associated with the property they've owned for 25 years, maybe that's a good opportunity for them.
and then your customer service. I mean, you've got to be able to demonstrate that as an agent, right? For people to want to work with you, either on the listing side or even the buyer side.
Yeah, but we can't just say, I'm better than you.
Right.
I'm going to give you excellent. It may be true, but it's telling people I'm better than the next guy. I'm going to be there. I'm going to give you all this great service. I think everybody says that, don't they? So demonstrating that is going to be the issue in regards to what they need or what you can help to do that maybe someone else can't.
Okay. That's good.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that before we continue with the presentation today? John Barris, you always have some kind of thoughts.
I'm actually good.
You're good. Okay. He's got nothing today. That's surprising. All right, we have a guest speaker today, Tony Breed. And Tony, this it's like this. Your qualifications seem to grow every time I see Tony. Zip form certified trainer, paperless pro certified PPC, RPR certified trainer, ePro, Senior technology trainer, Orange County, for Orange County Realtors. Tony, you've been with Orange County Realtors how many years?
Coming up on 21 years.
Wow.
So I've seen a lot, especially because I used to live up in Silicon Valley, and coming down from the tech industry into real estate, I'm amazed how your industry has grown technology wise by leaps and bounds. So.
And the good news is Tony's also married to a realtor, so he lives this every single day. So let's
Oh,
welcome
yeah.
Tony.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anthony or Tony. I work at Orange County Realtors, been here now for a little over 20 years. Started off in the MLS department, guaranteed I'll speak to everybody regarding rules, regulations, violations, all that fun stuff. What I'm also involved with is our outreach program. Our outreach program is designed to come out here to your office, give you hybrid training, the whole 9 yards. My job is to help give you training on all your technical tools that are out there. So I train on MLS, how to run searches, how to modify listings, create CMAs, and our big fun topic today, auto emails and reverse prospecting, okay, which we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. I also train on zip forms, how to put together your transactions electronically, digitally sign them, and of course, all the advanced tools that zip forms has to offer. And again, I know everybody because of our previous classes, or a majority of you. How many of you have actually started playing with the new updated version of zip forms? One person, two, nobody else, three, okay?
Well, Tony, isn't it true if you're new that you only have access to the revised version or the new version?
Yes, and that's recent. So in the past 3 weeks, any new real estate agent joining right now is only accessing the new version of zip forms. So that tells me that any day now, probably in the next week or so, or two, they're getting rid of the classic edition. So if they're going to get rid of the classic edition and you haven't started playing with zip forms right now, don't get lost. You know, even though it's easier to use, start getting familiar with the new version and probably start to migrate to that new version. Pretty much everything that's there that we've gone over will allow you to put together your transactions quickly and easily. The new Authenticign is really awesome and fun to use. We can have another class on that again if you all need that, which is why I'm here, okay? And of course, my other job is to basically show you all your other fun tech, your free real estate tools, things like that. I was telling Carlos that I've been invited to teach on ChatGPT, kind of what it is, how could you use it in various different ways to help your real estate career. I know it's really hit everybody here in the past 3 months by leaps and bounds, writing scripts, property descriptions, business planning, life in general, right? Like, tell me how to cook something, ChatGPT is there for you, right? We've all been exposed to AI with Alexa. Anybody here have Alexa or Google, right? How many of you asked Siri, drive me someplace, call this person? That's all AI. So you're pretty much using it now. We're just now interjecting it on steroids. Pretty soon, robots will be doing your job and you can actually get your brain plugged into the robot, right? So today, auto emails and reverse prospecting. Now, this is going to be your tool and one of your major tools to not only connect and get properties on a regular basis to your clients, more specifically your buyers and your leasees on a regular basis of what they want. But we're going to also use the auto emails as listing agents to see which agents have found our properties and when they sent them out and if any of their clients are liking their homes. A great way of being able to obtain feedback. So we're going to go over that today. Okay. So with that said, I'm now going to just share my screen. And actually, they just updated the auto email process to include some other great notifications that I think will be great for everybody. But basically, how to get people on an auto email and an internet or a drip campaign to receive property data is all from our search. So here, if we go to our search screen, we go maybe to our residential, what we're now going to do is we're going to put in some criteria. Now, by the way, if you haven't noticed in the MLS, we do have our current version of trying to find properties, but you probably have noticed that over in the top left corner, we have a new choice here called try our new search. What does that mean? Means that MLS is now being updated here. And I will tell you that this is coming out very, very soon. So if we do this, we've now got a complete merger of the detailed search and a map search all on one screen. Here we can put in our criteria to find properties. What I would suggest is everybody start to do this, okay, to find properties quickly and easily. So here you can select your statuses based on what your client's needs are, okay? Maybe we put in a city. So here, if I select the city, instead of going up and down this list, selecting properties, instead come over to where it says filter, click, get my mouse to blink, and then type in the area that I need or my clients need, say apply. Now, unfortunately, with this new method, you've noticed that right away, it booted me out. So if I needed to select multiple cities, as an example, in this new method, I've got to go back to where it says city select, and then type in my next city. Let's see, Costa Mesa, and then say apply. So unfortunately, with this new method, I've got to now apply each city individually to look for multiple cities. Yes, sir.
Did you say, is this what it's converting to
Yes,
eventually?
yes. And I will tell you, if you've looked at any of these other programs like Flex or Paragon, Matrix now looks and feels very similar to Paragon and Flex MLS. And as a matter of fact, for some of us older timers, excluding this map view, this entire list here feels like how Tempo used to feel to me. Okay.
Wow, that's going back a long time. huh?
That's going back a long ways, yes. Now, one nice thing here is as I'm putting this information at the very top here above the map where it says Costa Mesa or Irvine, it tells me how many matches, okay? So as I put in my criteria, as I put in my criteria under this new method, my bedrooms, bathrooms, by the way, instead of the old way of dollar amount plus sign, minus sign, or the low price minus the high price, we now went back to old school minimum maximum fields for our pricing, our bedrooms, bathrooms. Okay, so as we put in all this information, we get to see our lifetime updates. Now from here, man, let's go 3 to 5. Put in some other fun criteria. Yeah, you cannot tell me there are more than 2,000 listings. Sure.
Tony, are there panels that decide what the interface is going to look like?
Oh, yes. So as Richard knows, we have at Orange County Realtors a committee called the MLS Committee. There, they would bring up suggestions to which, you know, based on motions being made and approved, usually go directly to CRMLS. Okay, at that point, CRMLS is they have their own committee that looks at all the other board suggestions, and then they vote and decide on how these things are to take place. At which point, it goes to their board of directors to start to implement those items. So yeah, at some point, somebody looked at this, looked at a suggestion, the various different committees at the, what is it, 41 different associations
Something like that, yeah.
that are part of CRMLS all looked at this and kind of came to a consensus majority of what they liked and have inputted in.
But I think ours is the largest, actually.
Ours is the largest association. Yeah. Yeah. Orange County Realtors is the largest association in CRMLS with 15,000 plus members. So, yeah, we have a little bit of a say. Okay, so from here, and I'm going to minimize this camera so everybody here in the audience can see this. So once I get my number of matches, and which, by the way, the maximum number of properties you can email out, whether it's a direct email or auto email, 250 listings. Okay, now granted, if I'm going to set up properties to get for my client to get it on a regular basis, 250 listings is a lot, right? So if a client gives you something super generic like that, you might want to talk to them about narrowing down what it is that they specifically want to get something a little bit more manageable for them. Okay. Now at this point, what I can now do is come over to where it says send in this new method. So at the top, we've got all of our major choices here versus the old method where it was down at the bottom left-hand side of the screen under actions. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to click on send. And at this point, we can now choose to set up an auto email, which, by the way, what's nice about the map is we get to see where the properties are at. Here, we could also put in our other criteria of a map search by applying our circles, square, polygons, whatever on the screen. But at this point, all I need to do is click on auto email. Now, at this point, I'm just going to follow the prompts for the auto email. Here, we're going to tie it to a contact. When I select the down arrow under contact, I can now select from the list of clients that have already been inputted into the contacts in the MLS. If this is a brand new client, then I'm just going to simply choose create new contact and now put in the required information. There's only 3 things that are required to input a contact: first name, last name, email address. Now, can anyone answer why is it important to know someone's first name and last name? Anyone? You'd be surprised because I'm getting the same response as everybody else. Nobody says anything. Why is it important to know someone's first name and last name, young lady?
No, because it's important. You can.
Why is it important?
Want to personalize it, so.
It's functional for a relationship,
Exactly.
right? We don't just say, hi, Richard Zillow lead or Richard Realtor.com lead. I got to know Richard's first name and last name, right? We are in a relationship, even though it's a business relationship, somewhat personal, right? Because what's more personal than real estate? Got to know his first name and last name because it's also important to write on contracts. And how important does he feel if I know his full name?
And the correct spelling.
And the correct spelling of his name, right? Pretty important, right? Anybody here ever dated somebody or been with somebody and you didn't know their name and you just called them honey or sweetie for 6 to 12 months? That relationship didn't last very long when that was discovered,
It
right?
probably wasn't intended to.
It wasn't intended to, right?
Safer.
It's safer that way. Last name at least, right?
Has experience.
But you get my drift, right? Because that's part of your customer service is to build that rapport, relationship, why we have the clients we have. And for some of us who have been in the business for 20 or more years, this is vital for any relationship build. Okay. Now, why is it important to know someone's email address? Anybody? Cyberland? Got to email them information. Now, here's my disclaimer. If you have a potential client that refuses to give you their email address, and I mean refuse, not I don't have one, it's I don't want to give it to you, then how serious of a client are they going to be? If you have to fight to get their email address, to get them to give it to you, they're not a serious client. Why waste your time? Clients are like buses, right? There's one by hopefully every 2 minutes, right? They're way better than California public
That
transportation.
sounds really personal, Tony.
It is, right? But again, what's more personal than real estate? You're buying and selling people's memories, right? You are a large part of that. But here it's important to know their email address because they need to get us information. Now, if you have a client that says, I don't use email, I don't have an email address, then we've got to be able to figure out how to get their problem short of driving it over to them each and every day. Anybody here have that type of time? No, but those are things to consider. Now, once we get that first name, last name, email address, we can very easily tie it to the client. Here we can put in the CC. So husband, wife, we can put in the husband, wife's secondary email address to get a CC. We do not need to include ourselves as a CC. Why? Because we are BCC, blind copy. We are given a copy via our email, each and every email that we send out. And what's nice about us getting the BCC, we receive the agent full report. The clients will only receive the customer reports. So they don't see things like showing instructions, listing agent information, anything like that. That's all reserved for us, their agent. Anybody like that? Good. Next, subject line.
Before you go on, can
Yes,
you
sir.
have more than 2 recipients?
Yes, so good question. I don't think so currently. They used to be able to separate it out with commas, but I think it runs into glitches at that point because it doesn't read it properly. At least that's been my experience.
Okay.
But yeah, if they do need a third email, then I would
You're out of luck.
you could be out of luck.
Okay.
I would try it, separate it out with commas and see if it works.
Thank you.
Depending on the day of the week with CRMLS. All right, next, your subject line. We got to make our subjects stand out. You may or may not know this, but NAR a few years ago did a survey to clients. And the survey was, would you ever reuse, or, why won't you use your agent? Right? And it was lack of communication was #1 response. At which point that results in the client saying, I work with 2 or 3 other agents. So we all know that we love to send out subject lines that say something similar to this. Here are properties in Irvine and Costa Mesa, right? Now, if you saw something like that, what's your first response to that? What do you think it might be? Anybody?
Spam.
Spam. What do we do with spam? We either don't open it, we delete it, or we block it, right? Now, remember, our clients, even though we like to think that they're loyal to us, their chances of them solely working with us in today's age has diminished by 1/3. Because they want somebody that gives them responses and communication back. And we're going to talk about that today with this auto email process. Okay. So I want to make sure that my clients open up my emails no matter what. So I'm going to actually personalize my auto email or my subject line just a skosh. What I'm going to do instead in this subject line, in this personality is, hey, Leo, here are the homes you need to see from your agent, Anthony. Here, I'm calling out their attention by calling them their name. Here are the properties, and I'm your agent. You should be opening up my emails and no one else's. So this is important. If you personalize it just a little bit, this will now hopefully grab their attention to be able to now open up your emails because, hey, they've told you they need to see data right away and they want to move and buy. Or in some cases sell, which we'll talk about here in this process. Now, down below, we have 2 messages. We have the welcome email message. The welcome email message is very generic. It's a nice little template, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in this box, get my cursor to blink, and I can rewrite over this message to my client. Okay, personalize it a little bit. Now, there are 2 things that we want to make sure that we put in this message nowadays with today's OneHome portal that they receive. We got to give them 2 instructions. Number 1, when you receive the email, you will need to create a user ID and password to access the property data. So we give them a number one instruction. When you get this email and you go to want to look at the properties, you're going to need to create a username and a password. And what's nice about this is that this locks that client to you. So even if another agent did try to send them an email or an auto email, if you're the first person that they've done this with, no matter what, because the system only allows one email per OneHome portal access to property data, it still ties it to you.
They always say you're there first.
They always say you're first, but we want to make sure that they are, right? But we want to make sure that they create that username and password. With this new system that was implemented a little over a year ago, one of the top complaints is people aren't aware that they need to make a password. And if they're told to make a password, a lot of times are not told to, they won't do it because they're afraid to. So in this case, I'm telling them they should do it to get access to the property data. Instruction number 2. How do you know when a client likes a property? Anybody? Nobody knows how a client likes a property? Yes, sir.
Put a heart. Put the
They
heart.
can, but if you didn't tell them that, how would they know? Right? You're waiting for them to call you, right? And what happens if you wait? They probably never call. So I need to be able to be told what it is that they like, because if they like it, what do they want? They want to see it. They want to see it and they fall in love with it. What's their likelihood to write up an offer? Exponentially higher, right? So instruction number 2. If there are properties you wish to see, then click the heart icon next to the home, and I will set up appointments ASAP. So my second instruction is I'm going to tell them to always click the heart icon next to their favorite properties that they wish to see right away. And I'm going to do my job in setting up the appointments. Okay. So I've got to get them to help me help them find their dream home. Now, this is all in the welcome email message. The secondary message, what they get on a regular basis, the reoccurring email message is very generic. So the big instruction that I'm going to put in here, or the thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to personalize it. But I'm also going to include this instruction. Don't forget to mark the heart icon next to the homes you want to see. Once you've typed up your message, now we're going to come down to settings and schedule to dictate how often the client or clients are to get these properties. Now we've got a choice of 4 different methods. The first, the concierge mode. The concierge mode is basically a manual email, meaning that you receive the properties first to go through those list of properties and select the ones to go to the client. Now, this is great if you have a client that's got certain special needs. And what I mean by that is that maybe my client, Leo, says he wants a backyard with a west-facing flower bed. Now, if you think about that, how often is something like that going to be typed in on a listing? Probably what? Almost never, right? So what is that going to require me to do? Go through these list of 28 homes and any future homes in the future to look through them, to look at a map to see if it's facing north, south, east, west, if it's got a backyard, and maybe with a flower bed facing west. Then I can select those couple of homes to go to the client, and everything else is trash.
So do you receive an email with the portal?
I'll receive an email notification, hey, there are listings for your approval. I can go into those listings and go through them. Now, because my access is full on, I see the full agent report. So anything I approve, the customer now gets in their portal and only sees the customer
So
report.
does it bring you back to the MLS to select the listings?
Yes. And the system in the top left corner of the home screen will say there are listings that need your approval. Okay. Now,
There's a question in the chat. How are you notified when there's a heart? When someone.
we're
likes
gonna
it?
go over that because typically right now, the only way to be notified is through the MLS by looking on your home screen. But I'm gonna show you something that was just implemented 2 months ago in the system. Okay, so we're gonna go over that. But here, real quickly. Concierge mode, there's nothing wrong with doing it for every client. Some of you really want to be, helping out your clients, but Richard and I and Carlos know how busy y'all's lives are, right? Between contract negotiating and prospecting and education and showings and all this fun stuff, when do you have time? If you did this for every client, I guarantee you'd be sitting in front of your computers all day long just approving listings. And again, your lives are too busy for that. Because of that busyness, this is where, oh, and by the way, make sure that you make your, that you have the box marked, make available for reverse prospecting. This lets the listing agent know that you found their listing in a search and that you emailed it to a client. They don't see who you emailed it to, but they just know that you found their listing. And we're going to go over that today. So make sure that's marked as well. Now, if you don't do concierge mode, then you have your schedule, ASAP. ASAP states that as soon as something meets your criteria, an email is generated within 20 minutes. Not too bad, right? But what happens if there were 10 or 15 properties throughout the entire day added throughout the day? That means that there are 10 or 15 emails in the client's email box. Even though they're only accessing one portal, 10 or 15 emails, what happens when somebody gets too many emails? Anybody?
Delete them.
They delete them, they block you, they spam block you, the whole 9 yards, right? But wait, Richard just talked about earlier today's class or before class, some stats, right? Low inventory, more sales. So that means what? We're flatlined on our listings coming on in the market, right? And anybody remember last year? Anybody here last year, like the first 4 months of last year? We had listings on the market less than 5 days. And at that point, you had between 50 to 70 offers going 300,000 over asking. And one of the major complaints that clients had were, I'm not getting the properties fast enough to even see it before it goes into escrow. Or maybe in some cases back in 2013 when we had that exact same market. Then maybe in those situations, ASAP is good. Hey, you want to know right away? It's a really hot market. I don't want you to miss out on anything or any opportunities. Also, maybe my client Leo needs to move in 45 days or less. Getting him property data the moment it comes on could be vital. Besides ASAP, you have your daily schedule. Now your daily currently says right now they get one email in the morning around 6 a.m. or we can send one email in the evening around 6 p.m. or we can send 2 emails a day, one in the morning and one at night. Or maybe my client says, I only look at my emails once or twice a week. Okay, great. What days of the week at what times around do you look at your emails? Now, the last one here, monthly. The monthly states that they only receive one email on the first of the month at midnight. Now, I know most everybody sitting here right now, virtually and in person, probably go, why would I ever want to send somebody a monthly email? Well, 2 scenarios. Anybody here ever have a client right now that says that they're not ready to buy for another 9 to 12 months? Anybody have that? Anybody there in Cyberland? John?
Sorry.
No, not yet.
Sorry.
Sorry. Right? What do we do right now? We kind of like back off, let them reach out to us, right? Around that 9-month mark, we give them a call. Hey, Richard, how you doing? Just following up to see if you're ready to want to buy. And Richard then tells me, oh, geez, Tony, I totally forgot about you. I ended up closing escrow 3 months ago. What? Why didn't you think of me? I totally forgot about you. Why? Because I didn't communicate. He forgot about me. Monthly email is great for those types of clients, because does that mean, even though they're telling me they're not ready to buy for 9 to 12 months, has their search stopped? No. Do I want them to forget about me? Heck no. I want to keep them lukewarm. I'm going to send them a monthly update of inventory to let them know I'm still looking out for their needs. And maybe in that 9-month time period, they get that one email that shows them that beautiful home, that all of a sudden they may want to then change their situation to buy now versus later. And I still stay top of mind. Now that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, this is great for a potential seller. You set them up on a neighborhood update report. Now, in that neighborhood update report, they don't need to see anything as soon as possible, and they don't need to see what's going on every day. They just need to see what's happening in their neighborhood every month. Because maybe right now in their neighborhood, there's 3 or 4 current listings and 3 or 4 that are in escrow and 5 or 6 sales. So they don't want that competition. But maybe 2 or 3 months down the road, because again, I'm giving them a reminder about what's going on in their neighborhood, they now reach out to me because they remember me and go, hey, Tony, I noticed that this month there are no active listings in my immediate neighborhood. Do you think it's a good time to list right now? Sure, let me take a look. So even though I know a lot of people shy away from that monthly one, it is really good for those 2 great scenarios. Anybody like that? All right, good. So now whatever schedule you decide, or your clients decide they need you to send them data, at the bottom, click save. The moment you hit save, within an hour, they get the initial welcome email message with the initial set of properties, at which point they click on that email, they create a username and password, and once they do that, then your schedule will kick off on any new data that day forward. Are there any questions about setting this out? Anybody in Cyberland?
And are you going to go into the map drawing, things like that, to further define the area?
I can if you want me to. I wasn't planning on it.
All right. You sound hesitant. So.
I can if you want me to. I do see that there are a couple of questions. Looking to buy in the future, good. CETA, or maybe a tenant. This is great for a tenant. This is great for any of your clients. Now, by the way, how do we know that they like their properties? How do we know this? Back here on the home screen, we have a widget or a tool called Recent OneHome Visitors. Under the Recent OneHome Visitors, this tells me my clients that have accessed their auto emails, at what date, at what time, and if they liked any of their properties. Now, what's nice about this is that when I see that number next to that heart icon, I can click on that number, and now I can pull up those listings and immediately click on that listing ID and see the agent full report. Now, what's nice about this is that now, instead of me waiting to hear from my client, the moment I see the client has liked some properties, I'm now going to be proactive in my communication with my client, and I'm going to give them a call. Hey, Fred, I noticed that you went in at 9:30 this morning and you liked 2 of the homes from your auto email, or that I sent you. Would you like me to set some appointments for either later today or tomorrow to go and see these homes before they get eaten up? That's what we should be doing. Anybody here not call their clients? Anybody here not receive a call from their clients? Okay, everybody's getting calls from their clients. Good. But what's nice about something like this is that I am not waiting.
So Tony, if Fred tomorrow goes in and finds 2 more, are we going to see a cumulative number of 4 up there?
Yes, sir. And this number lasts for about a week at a time. So if they go a week or 2 without going in, their name will disappear along with the number. Or if they do go in, but they don't do anything, I'll just see that they've accessed it. which again, that will prompt me, hey, I've noticed for the past few days, you've not liked any homes. Do you need me to modify the search? Do you need me to modify the criteria so that maybe we can figure out what you will like? Yes, Carlos.
There's a question in the chat that's asking, can the CC person also heart properties?
Yes. What the CC person cannot do though is create their own searches in the auto email or in the OneHome portal, but they can view what the client or what the main person is. So, but they can't create their own account. They have to access the main emails account. So hopefully husband, wife, they're talking and somebody, whoever is the main person will tell the other person what their account name is.
So they have to log in. When they receive the emails, they can't just click on the heart.
Once you log in, you can stay logged in, but periodically it will require them to re-log back in. So hopefully they know what those user IDs and passwords are. But it's pretty simple. Or I should say, it can be simple. Now, reason why I know what I was just telling you guys works is that I had an agent about 5 years ago. I was teaching an auto email class. And his first thing was, I send my clients auto email, but I haven't heard from my client in 6 months. And I said, well, do you know if they're going into the auto email? He goes, I don't know. So during the class, I kind of looked at his computer and I noticed he did not have the recent OneHome visitor widget up. As a matter of fact, it was found under his additional widgets, just sitting there closed. And I said, why don't we just pull this out and put it on your home screen? The moment he did, the client he was just complaining about had gone in that morning at 10:30 that morning and selected 6 properties as his favorites. And I said, all right, when we take a break, I want you to go out in the hallway, call your client and say this. I noticed you selected some properties as your favorites this morning. Would you like me to set up appointments? And then when you're done, when we restart, just tell the audience what happened, positive or negative. So 5 minutes go by after we take our break. He comes back. He's got a big old smile on his face. And I said, what happened? He goes, you know what? The client told me that he was about to fire me and go with someone else because he hadn't heard from me in 6 whole months. Thank you so much for calling. Yes, I want to see those homes tomorrow, Saturday, between 11 and 3. I said, that's awesome. And everybody else did exactly what you all did. Laugh like, oh my God, that's crazy. Now, following month, when I came back to the office to teach another topic, I saw him and I said, hey, whatever happened with that client? He got even happier. He goes, you know what? By that Monday, I had written an offer and we had it accepted and opened to escrow by Tuesday on a $1.7 million house. Now, that was 5 years ago. That was a lot of money back then.
It's not today.
Not today, but
Kidding, really. But
the idea is if he hadn't followed up, his client would have gone off to another agent.
can you show us how to move the widget up if it's not on your?
Sure.
Thank you.
If it's not up, say if it was closed out, what you're going to do is you're going to come down below to your additional widgets. If it happens to be here in that list, simply move your mouse over to that widget. So you get that 4-way arrow. Click and hold with your mouse, and now you can drag it and move it anywhere on the screen. One of the beautiful things I love about our matrix system is that what we can do is move our widgets around and place them anywhere on our home screen. Now, what I like to do is I like to put the things or the tools that I use the most at the very top of the list, right in iShop. Now, here's the problem with this tool though. This requires me to always be logged into the MLS. Now, how many of you are logged into the MLS 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? Anybody? But you are 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, a real estate agent, right? We don't want to be, but we are. That's what our nature is, right? It would be great to be notified anytime my clients, wouldn't it be great to be notified?
Yes.
Yes, right? This is where, and we're going to answer your question there in Cyberland. How do I get notified when my client likes a property or even goes into their auto email? Now, this was just implemented about 2 to 3 months ago. And unfortunately, they did not send out, as far as I can tell, a news announcement about this. You can now receive text message notifications from the MLS about when a client opens an auto email or even likes a property. How do we do this? We've got to set it up. How we are going to set this up is that at the very top right where it says hello and your name, we're going to click on the down arrow. From here, we're going to get several choices. One of those choices says settings. When I click on settings, we now get a few choices here in the middle of the screen. My information, the speed bar, shortcuts, custom displays. If I look at this list, there is a choice here called portal notifications. When I click on portal notifications, I'm now given an entire list of how I can be notified when anybody visits their auto email portal, selects a property as their favorite, removes a favorite, discards a listing, undiscards it, adds notes, makes their own search, or even visits the portal for the very first time. What you as an agent can now do is choose to either receive emails, or you can receive texts, messages, or receive both. Now, I personally think that for you all, the top two choices are going to be the most vital, that you want to be notified right away. Bless you. Obviously, we want to see emails, but if you get 1,000 emails a day and you look at your phone text messages more often than not, select your text message option. At least anytime somebody favorites a property or even goes into their portal. That way, you know, mentally we can now be prepared to call our client. Now, once we select those options, however, we now need to come down below under text notification settings, and we now need to put in our information. Put in your cell number. And then choose your phone carrier. Now this will have every phone carrier. So hopefully you look at your phone bills periodically and know exactly who your phone carrier is. Once you select your phone carrier, then what's going to happen is that you're then going to click on the button, send me a verification code. What this will now do is send you an authorization code, a number to your cell phone number. Take that number, you're going to input it into a third box that says authentication code number. Once you input it in, and you will then say save. Once it does that, it will say congratulations. You will now be text notified of these options that you selected. So now the beautiful thing is, at least knowing when a client favorites a property, you can now immediately call them. Hey, Fred, I just got the text message that you like the property. I can set up a showing for you later today or tomorrow. Let's go and see that home. And now we get them out there. We see it together. They fall in love with it. And now we write up an offer and hopefully negotiate and open escrow.
How long after they heart a property do you get notified?
My understanding, within 10 minutes. So that's not bad. That's pretty fast. I think it's a little bit faster, but I heard in the beginning, it was about within 10 minutes.
Hey, Tony, I have a question for you
Yes, sir.
on the ads notes, because I like when they add notes and I put notes back. So I understand I can get notified. How does my client know that I put a note back on, and do they get notified?
Yes, they will get notified via email that you've written a note and in their portal. So if we open up a portal real quick, oops. If we open up their portal. So when the client gets an auto email and they view their properties, they will see here in their portal a section. Where is it? Of course, I got to wear my cheaters now. Right. Under my favorites, I can see where my favorites are, but where's my notes? There should be an icon or a choice here for my notes. Maybe it's back under here. Nope, of course not. There is a notification that you've received notes. Of course, John, I can't find it when you need me to, right?
That's kind of like my point on this, that there hasn't been a notification. So my clients don't really know unless they actually are going into the system and looking at their favorites to see that I put a note there.
Well, let's do this. Let's go back into the MLS. I'm going to go into my clients recently liked, and I'm going to add a note. Now, by the way, if you want to add a note to a property, there's a gray sheet of paper next to that listing. I can click on it and we can now make notes. Do you need for me to set an appointment for tomorrow? And now I'm going to select add a note. And now going back to the client's portal. And let's exit out. I should have received something by now. I know it's one of these properties, but I'll have to talk to CRMLS because that notes featured.
Is that top right? See.
Oh, there it is. It's the notification. There you go. So your little bell icon here under your notifications. We can view the comments, or these are the notes. Do you need me to set up the appointments for this property? So they actually look for the bell icon, but this should be sending them their email as well. I don't know why it's not.
Same time.
It should. It should do it no matter what, but here, what we can now do, when a client opens up their auto email, they get to see where the properties are placed on the map. They get to see these properties. They can like properties. Now, you'll also notice that there's an interesting number here that we'll talk about in just a second. If I click on a property, they will only see the customer report, but there's some really cool things with this customer report. Not only do they see the list price, they can click on request a tour. They request a tour because this is my client. I am sent an email notification that the client wants to see this property via email. Okay. They can compare other properties. They see the bedrooms, bathrooms, they see the photos, they see the features, they see the property details, what all is on the listing, the building details. They also get to see this nearby schools. Now, this is not pulled from the MLS. This is actually pulled from the county or the school district records. Most of us have probably seen in a listing in the MLS that 90% of the agents do not put in the school information, correct? Right?
Correct.
They put in the school district, but they don't put in elementary, middle school, or high school. Well, what's nice about this is that the system automatically puts that in there for us. So the client knows. They also get to see their ratings, which are really super nice. And here you go, travel time. A lot of times people go, well, I just don't know if it's close enough to work. What they can now do is come here to their portal and now edit and say, here's my work address. Tell me lifetime driving directions on how long it's going to take me from this property to get to work. And if they save it, no matter what, this will now look at every property in their portal. Kind of nice, right? Here, it should take me only 15 minutes, though we know 15 minutes in today's traffic feels what, like 45 to 2 hours, right? Especially during rush hour. So we can have that. We also have access to the public tax record data and any upcoming open houses. So there's a lot of information that the client also accesses, which is really super nice. Now, one other nice thing about this is that even from this display above the picture, we see a percentage score of 58%. Now, what 58% just means, their likability and their property fit. A lot of times, even though the client tells us what it is that they're looking for, does it really fit their full needs? This is called property fit. When a client creates their account, what we want them to do is set up their property fit. Basically, what is it specifically that you are looking for from the homes that I'm sending you? Right? Because they won't necessarily always tell you they want a yard or they are looking for an open floor plan all the time, right? Here, if they go over to the top right corner and click on their initials, down below they have a choice called property fit preferences. Say that 5 times fast.
Once is difficult.
Now you may think, geez, this must be really difficult, right? Honestly, it's between 7 to 10 questions. Now we're going to go over this. Really easy on these property fit. We're just going to say change. First thing, what type of house are we looking for? Do we want something new or do we want something old? So Richard, what would you like? A newer home or an older home?
Newer.
A newer home, excellent. Young lady, do you want outdoor space or indoor space for your property?
Outdoor.
Outdoor, excellent. She likes to be outdoors, living in an older home or a newer home, that's great. Carlos, do you want an open concept or do you prefer a traditional layout in a home? An open, excellent. Right? Young lady, what do you like here? Do you want your own garage or do you just like parking out on the street with everybody else? You want a garage, right? Richard needs to have his man cave in your home, right? Let's figure out what's also important to you. Do you care if you have smart home devices or does that matter to you? By the way, you don't have to answer this. You go, it doesn't matter, just say skip. But in this case, young lady, do you want smart home or does it care? Or do you care? You don't care. All right. It's not something you're looking for. Okay, young lady, you want it environmentally sound and green, or do you want to just tap the grid and just take everybody for what it's worth? You want it green, all right? Excellent.
She had to say that.
She had to say that on record. And then, oh, John, do you want a bigger lot or do you want somebody like right next to you?
I definitely want a big.
You want a big lot, right? You got to have some space, enjoy your man caves, right? And that's it. 7 basic questions, right? Now, where do the other 3 questions come in? Back under this property fit, down below, what are your top features that you're looking for? Here, all they need to do is hit change and now pick their top 5 things that they want out of a home. What's going to really sell on that property? What is it that they're really looking for? Because a lot of times they won't tell you. You actually discover that as you show them. Wouldn't that be great to know before you show them? Here, they can pick out their top 5 things. Now, once they do that, what will then appear on their listings, even in this thumbnail, is that percentage. What's the percentage or likelihood that this property actually fits their needs? So what's nice about this, out of these homes that are being received, this one's are 52%, this one's 47%. Maybe I get a couple of 60s or 70s. Maybe I'll also get some that are so low that it just doesn't even give you a number. Well, what's nice about this? If a client goes, well, geez, this matches pretty much almost what I'm looking for, they're going to open it. They might actually like it to want to see it. And if they pretty much already know that it fits most of their needs and they like it, what is their likelihood to want to write an offer and get into escrow? Has it grown? Yes.
If you click on the percentage, does it show you which feature match?
No, it does not. But when they go into it, they can read all the features, right? Oh, it's got the fireplace, it's got the open concept, it's got the large lot, it's got the solar panels that I want, and the, you know, water tower in the backyard instead of an ADU, you know, this, that, and the other. So we've got all that.
So if I want to remove the percentage, can I do that? So that
Yep, you
that's saying that?
you just say skip on everything and it just makes that percentage 0.
But if I don't even want them to see the percentage to question why that's there.
Oh, it doesn't appear until they open up that property
I
fit.
see.
So if
Okay.
they don't go and open up the property fit themselves, this number will never appear.
Thank you.
But it's kind of nice too, because back here in the MLS, at your dashboard, which, by the way, everybody knows that the dashboard's being modified soon to be your RE Center hub eventually. But as it stands right now, under your additional products, there is one called OneHome Agent Portal. What's nice about this is that I can look at every client that I've set up on an auto email. I get to look at their portal. So here are all my contacts. So now I can preview their account, see when they went into their portal, and here I can even see their percentage, which is another good communication point. If I happen to see that based on their property fit, that all the properties that they've gotten are below 50%, now all of a sudden being proactive, I can give that client a call. Hey, I noticed that number one, you're not liking a lot of homes, and based on your property fit preferences, how can I change your search criteria to start getting you homes that you will actually like? Because if you're getting most no's and most not showings, we want to change that to accommodate them. We don't want to send them garbage. So again, I'm going to be a little bit more proactive, reaching out, showing that customer service to get them more homes that are above that 50% level, to go out there, see, get them into escrow.
Yeah, makes sense.
Kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
right? All right. Are there any questions on auto email and what the client sees so far? No? All right.
You show us how to add them. How do you remove?
How do you remove them? Good question. So at the end of the day, if the client goes into escrow or anything like that, or maybe buys a property and they no longer need our services, then what we do, there we go. We do not let them unsubscribe. If they unsubscribe, that means that in the future, we won't be allowed to ever email them. So what we want to do is stop the auto email. Now, how we stop the auto email or change the criteria or change the settings, maybe once a day is too soon and they need to get things more often than not. From the MLS, we're going to move our mouse to where it says My Matrix. Oops. Come on. Sorry, I got my Zoom bar blocking it. My Matrix. And from here, we get a list of drop-down choices, one of which says auto emails. From here onto the auto emails, this will now give us a list of all of our current auto emails that we're sending out or have sent out. Some of them will have check marks, meaning that they're currently active. Others will be green open circles, meaning the email went out, but it's not been opened. And then of course, others that will be red, meaning that they've been deleted or blocked or haven't been opened at all. Okay. From here, all I need to do is click on the little down arrow next to the auto email, just to the left. Now I get a bunch of choices. One of those choices says delete auto email. So if you need to stop this because the client has closed escrow, no longer needs to get properties from you, come down, find your auto emails, click that down arrow and say delete auto email. Now, if you need to change the criteria, maybe we had that conversation. Hey, we need to get you more properties that you like. Maybe you want to change your areas. I noticed that you've made your own searches from your portal, which is also nice because I can see what searches they've created themselves. I can now go over to where it says criteria and modify the criteria. Now, if I modify the criteria of the information that they are to get, the system will then re-prompt me to send them a new auto email link that they just have to activate. They don't have to recreate a username or password that's already been done, but it just reinitiates the auto email. Now, if I need to change the settings of just the auto email and not the criteria, like, hey, I want to get it on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays instead of every day, then under this section, choose settings. Under settings, then I can change around the email address, the days of the week that they receive it, the periodic. Maybe they now need to go in concierge mode or go from concierge mode to every day. We do that all under the settings itself. So we're not affecting the criteria of information. Okay, anybody like that? Does that help?
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so now, any other questions on what the client receives and what you do to set up a client?
I have a question for you. Maybe
Yes,
I'm missing it. When you do the search from the beginning and try a new search, how do you get the results? Because I've tried this and I go to look for the results. I don't want to see, I mean, I see them on the map, but how do I get like that traditional listing of, 5 or 10 that I can actually go in and read the agent comments?
So here you want to see these properties, and you want to see in your traditional one-line report in this new method. Down below, and unfortunately my Zoom bar is blocking this, there are 3 dots down below here right underneath the map. If you come down below and click on those 3 dots and hold it down with your mouse so that you get a 2-way arrow, you're going to click and hold and then move that up, and now you'll get the one-line report. Does that help, John?
Yeah, I pushed on every single button up at the top there and
It's not at the
didn't-
top. So those 3 dots that are right here are at the bottom underneath the map. So what you got to do is move your mouse so you get that 2-way arrow, click and hold, and then pull it up to get this.
Why do they keep it a secret? Why don't they put?
Yeah, how would
This is
anyone
why
ever
you're
know?
testing it
Yeah,
and
so-
trying it out. Then what you do is you send it to support@crmls.org and give your feedback. Hey, I would love not to have the map as a default, or make the screen a little bit more manageable so that I can see both the one line and the map view at the same time. And then send it to them. The more feedback they get from membership, the more likelihood them changing what they're doing, because they won't listen to me. They'll go, oh, you're just one person. But you, the member, the paying member, have a lot more impact with CRMLS than I do.
That's something to send to the MLS committee.
And
right?
something to send to
Right.
the MLS committee. Hey, email Richard Moore at richard.moore.
Don't include me.
Don't just show up and talk.
No, you can email me those types of changes as well. That way I can try to get it on the agenda at the MLS committee. They can look at it and I'll talk about it too. Because I almost guarantee you, probably nobody has tried the new search just yet, but know that it's there. And one day you're going to wake up and it will just be this. So start playing with it and then start giving CRMLS and the board your feedback. Does that help?
It does.
Good. All right, last thing, reverse prospecting. And then if you want, I can show you the map search.
Actually, is Jay here?
Jay?
No.
Oh, yeah. All right. I was gonna ask him some questions, actually.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
okay. So I'm just going to log out of this account because for me to do reverse prospect, I need to be logged into my staff account. Now, reverse prospect is great for a listing agent. Now, a listing agent wants to know if people or agents are finding their homes and sending them out to their clients, right? And especially in today's market, right, where people are not doing a lot of showings right now. Anybody here flooded with a ton of showings? Exactly. Anybody here with listings?
Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Sarah's got 1 or 2. Okay. So Sarah,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you for your user ID here in just a second. Oh, whoops, I put it on the wrong account. Because I'm going to imitate Sarah. So Sarah, have you gotten a lot of showings on your listing right now?
Yeah.
You have, good. But how many really should you be getting? Probably a lot more, right? And wouldn't it be nice to know if somebody, if you know, is finding your listing, if it goes out to a client, if they even like the property, but yet you've not gotten a call, right? So this is where reverse prospect comes in. So here, Sarah, what is your user ID for the MLS? Your public ID?
Write down or?
No, the public ID.
PWPARK.
Oh, you're PW. Okay. I can't go because I'm Orange County. I can't view your account. So sorry, not a problem. I'm gonna, yeah.
But it's all CRMLS.
Even though it's CRMLS, it's board specific.
Is it?
You have a listing?
I do, yeah.
Okay, what's your user ID?
It's OC MOHAMAS.
First four letters of your last followed by the first three letters of your first, right? There you go, one match. Good. So what I'm now gonna do is I'm gonna log in as Arden. Sorry, I don't want to
Huge
budget.
drawback for somebody that most of their activity falls here and they're a member at a different board.
Well, their board would be able to do what I'm doing right now. I just can't do it just because I'm Orange County and she's Pacific West. So I don't have access to her account to be able to demonstrate what I'm about to demonstrate
But
here.
most likely, most of her and Jay's listings probably fall in an area which it's associated with OCR, Orange County Realtors.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't?
It doesn't. It's still all CRMLS. It's just that I'm like, if she needed a change,
Mhm.
she couldn't call me to make the change. She'd
I
have to
understand
call
that.
Pac West,
I see.
right? Because they're the ones that
But
help
the
her
reverse
out.
search is not going to be affected by it. Okay.
The searches or anything like that are not going to be affected by that. So here, Masood.
Yeah.
You've got a listing. Maybe you've not gotten a lot of showings, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to where it says My Matrix. Under My Matrix, we're going to look at your listings. Here, this will display any and all of your active under contract, pending listings, okay? Now, what we're going to do is just simply select that one listing. Now, from here, the moment I select that listing, I get a list of choices at the bottom, one of which says Reverse Prospect. When I click on Reverse Prospect, because, geez, have you gotten a lot of showings on this particular listing on Century?
It just went live yesterday.
Went live yesterday, but
Calls.
hey, it would be nice to know that because of yesterday, how many people saw it or found it, right? 24 hours is a long time, right? Here I can click on Reverse Prospect and look at all these agents that have found your listing in a search. So we see that agent's name. We see their reference number. We see how many listings that this listing was in that search. So in this case, this gentleman, Peter, found your listing amongst 197 other properties in his search, which, by the way, he emailed this list of 197 properties to his client yesterday. And funny enough, that client liked your property. Have you gotten a showing request from Peter?
Well, I had like probably 20 calls.
20 calls, one of them by the name of Peter?
Probably one of them is-
Maybe?
Yeah.
What happens if it was a no?
What was that?
A no. What happens when you go through that list of 20 people, none of them are named Peter?
Oh.
What are you gonna do?
I go through.
I'm gonna look at this, and guess what? There's his direct phone number. Here's his email address. I'm gonna give Peter a call. Hey, Peter, I noticed that yesterday your client liked my property from an email you sent them, but I've not gotten any showings. Now, Peter, funny enough, chances are Peter probably didn't even know that his client liked the property because he probably doesn't have his OneHome portal.
And he didn't attend this class,
He
right?
didn't attend this class, right? Now Peter calls his client. Hey, I noticed you like the property. You want to go see it? Now all of a sudden, you and Peter can now negotiate. These other people found your property 5, 4, 10, right? Sent out yesterday, 8 a.m. this morning. No calls. Well, what happens if this was a week that had gone by? You've only got 5 or 6 calls, but here you had 30 or 40 people. Now I'm going to give them a call. Hey, Kim, I noticed that you found my property a couple of days ago, but I've not gotten a showing request from you. Is there a particular reason why? Oh, we looked at it, the pictures weren't right. It was overpriced. Property was a little too small. One of the rooms looked a little off for my client, or it wasn't feng shui. What am I going to do with that type of feedback, Masood?
Well, obviously adjust my,
Are you randomly going to adjust it, or are you going to do what?
well,
You're going to have a conversation with that seller, right?
for sure, yes.
Hey, this is the feedback I'm getting from agents who don't want to see your home.
Yeah.
These are the problems they're having. It's overpriced. The pictures are too dark. The rooms look cluttered. Right? We don't need to give them their names, obviously, but with this honest feedback, we can now just start to develop our strategies to make that property more appealing. Hey, clean up the clutter, clean up your dishes, right? How many people have seen the pictures of the closet with stuff falling out of the closet? It's amazing what agents put on their listings, right? Or, you know what? The client sent you the photos and it was obviously taken with a cell phone. And they told you in your listing presentation, they don't want to pay for the photography, which is why they want you to cut your commission. Well, that's affecting the showings. What are we going to do? I think you need to pay for professional photography to get it more appealing. So now this is great, honest feedback that we can get from our fellow colleagues about how we can better market the property to get the highest and best offer for our clients. Again, we're showing customer service. If we could show this type of customer service, right, at the end of the day, we build our businesses better for both buyers and sellers. We're open to our communication. And because we're building better, stronger relationships and more reliable relationships as client or as agents for our businesses, what do we get as a reward? Anybody?
More business and referrals.
More business and referrals, which turns into money, hopefully. Right? Yes.
So this is a wonderful tool. I used it on my other listing and I was able to actually get the price reduction on my other actually listing.
There you go.
Yeah. And I
Hey, it
showed
needed to be
all of this.
reduced.
Yeah.
Right? When they go, you know what? I am the only listing and I need to be at 3.8 million. Well, hey, the comps only show 2.1. But here's now all the general feedback. It's not me saying it. It's not me telling you. This is the feedback you're getting. This is why you're being frustrated. Right? So this is really great in those aspects. Are there any questions on this? Anybody like that portion?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really easy, right? Anybody excited? Good. All right. Did you want me to go over
If
anything
you would
else?
just quickly. Yeah.
Oh, the
just
map search?
Map search.
Map searching is really easy. A lot of us are sending out the auto email, but now all of a sudden the client tells us what? I'm finding these properties on these other websites, right? The third-party websites, the realtor.coms, the homesandland.com, or Redfin, or our other direct competitors, right? Why aren't you getting me these homes? And you're like, gosh, I put in the MLS area, I put in the correct city, I put in the building track code. Why aren't I finding those homes? And then when you look at the listing, what's missing or what's incorrect? The area or the incorrect or no subdivision, right? Doesn't that get frustrating for you? This is where a map search will help. All you got to do on the map, because what we're now going to do is we're going to find properties, but we're going to base it on their geographic locations based on their address. Okay. So when we're doing a search in the MLS, whether you're doing the new method or the old method, we will put in some criteria like the statuses, maybe our price range, things like that. Maybe our bedrooms or bathrooms. Oops. But then I'm not going to put in this case, the county, the city, the MLS area, or the subdivision. Why? Because more than 120,000 agents, part of CRMLS, more than 300,000 plus listings, not just Southern California, but mid and Northern California data. And with all these other different MLS systems data sharing with CRMLS, not everybody's got the same sort of stats, meaning not everybody's got our areas, not everybody's got our tracks, not every big agent that's outside the area goes and does the proper research to make sure that they're putting their listing in correctly, right? Like, geez, I don't know if I'm putting it in Woodbridge or Woodbury. It kind of falls on that border. I'll just pick one. I don't see the track, so I'll say none or other, right? It's really frustrating when those agents do that, right? This is where we're going to do a map search. Now, in the old method, we can access the map 3 ways: upper right corner, clicking on the map tab here, middle right above county, we can click on the map search there, or bottom left, click on the map tab here. Now, what's nice about this is that all I need to do is just simply go to the map. Here, what I can do is I can jump to an address. Now, the address, I can type in the full address, street number, street name, city and state. Or I can just put in street name, city and state, or I can just put in city and state. Now, you'll notice here that I'm stressing state. Why? Because we're accessing Google Maps. Even though we can only pull up properties in our MLS database, if I say put in Irvine and just leave it at that, how many Irvines are there in the United States according to Google? At least what?
At
3
least-
that I know of.
At least 2 or more, right?
At least 2 or more, right? There's one in Irvine, California. There's one in Irvine, Texas. There's actually one out in Florida and somewhere else, I think in Minnesota. Now, even though I can't pull up MLS data in those other states just yet, why be asked the question, do you mean this state or this state or this state? Just put in the state. But what's nice about this is that all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put in maybe, the street name, West Yale Loop, Irvine, California. So now it jumps to that street. Now what I can do is I can utilize one of 4 different drawing tools to outline what it is that I need. Now I know if I know my tracks, because I market these areas in and around Irvine, I kind of know where my street boundaries are for my certain tracks, right? So if somebody wants to live on a particular track, what I can now do is either say draw a circle by simply selecting the circle radius, finding my start point, click and hold and draw out that circle. So now any properties found in that particular area will now be pulled up. Okay. Now, if I don't want to draw a circle, I can draw a square or a rectangle. Simply click on the square or rectangle, find my starting side, pull down and out, let go. Everything outside that shape now disappears. And now I've got that. But how often are things in perfect straight lines or perfect circles here in California? What do we have? Curves, right? So here, all we need to do, maybe draw a polygon. Polygon allows us to draw a 39 angled shape. So what I do here with the polygon is find my starting corner, click once, then, whoops. I guess it didn't access, there we go. Click once, click to the next corner, and the next, and the next, and the next, all the way around and hug those streets. Now, most of us have mobile access, right? If you have mobile access, whether it's a touchscreen computer, tablet, or phone device, right? You can touch the screen, just like those third-party websites. This is where we can have the freehand. Now, by the way, I'm going to do this with my mouse, but actually, I'll just do it on my screen. I can turn on my freehand. And now I'll touch my screen. Whoops. Hopefully it's working. I hope it works. There we go. And I can draw whatever shape I want on my screen. Now, I don't know why my mouse is off, but there we go. I can draw whatever shape around whatever street I want to pull up that property data. Now, if your client wants to live in multiple different areas, you can draw up to 36 different shapes all over your map. So maybe you draw around this neighborhood and then that neighborhood, whether it's 2 circles or a circle and a square or a polygon or a freehand or whatever. outline everything. Now, what's going to happen is even if the agent put in the wrong MLS area or the wrong building track, because I'm pulling that property by its physical address found on Google Maps, I'm pulling up even more properties. So this is almost how you can guarantee all those properties. Now, how does this fit in with your auto email? Well, here we got these little green dots, which are properties. I can either look at the list price, bedroom, bathroom, click on it, see a nice little thumbnail where I can click on the listing, or even select the property itself to send out that property or select properties via email. But hey, this drawing or drawings is considered criteria. Now, what I can do is just simply come down below. If it's the classic edition here that we're used to using, going under save, just from the map, I can go to save here and set them up on a new auto email. Or if you're on the new method, after you do your drawing there, go to send, new auto email. And now, based on my drawing, getting them properties on this regular basis. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Pretty simple, right? Anybody excited about that? Yes, ma'am.
How do you remove them again? Like say you see one that's like over their price range.
So if it's over the price range, just simply go back to the criteria and put in what your price range is that they can
Oh.
afford.
I thought
So
it-
you're gonna put in certain criteria like price, bedroom, bathroom, square footage, maybe single family condo, solar panels, whatever,
Okay.
built-ins, whatever. You're not going to put in county, city, MLS area, or subject.
It has all that in there already. So it's not gonna pull up other homes that are like way over their price range. It's
Correct.
already in there.
It's going to be based on some of that criteria. Like those homes are between 3 and 6. I'm not going to pull up 2 or 1 or 7 or 8 bedrooms.
Okay.
So because I put in that criteria ahead of time.
Thank
Mhm. Are there any questions on any of this?
Yeah, that was
Well,
fantastic.
thank you all very much.
Thank
If you do have any questions, feel free to email me, tony@tony@ocrealtors.org. And with that, thank you very much, sir.
Tony, thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Pleasure
welcome.
having you as always.
Thank you. And whoops, let's get that back over here to you. What was that?
Get the beef jerky.
Tony makes his own beef jerky, so
Yes,
if you'd like to
I'll be
place,
beef jerky next
want
time.
to place an order with Tony, now's the time, right? Or you can just email him direct, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I promise to bring it in next month.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming, everybody. It's good to see you. Bye, everyone.